am back with Q to talk about episode 9 of Little Brother, I believe. A Vito episode. Another good old messy time from this cast. How you feeling overall with the episode? A lot happened, honestly.
Yeah, it was quite an eventful episode, but I would say most of the cast is playing dumb and pissing me off. So
why is that?
We'll get into it.
I don't know if everyone's playing as dumb as your rankings look from what I can see from here. Let's start with the aftermath of Monet's nomination. Everybody's shocked because she told them one thing and then did another, literally everyone. So, what did you think of everyone's reactions? And yeah.
I think that everyone's reactions were pretty consistent with our reactions, which is that, you allowed Mike to finesse you, and you still made an enemy of him, so you might as well just put him up. Which ended up happening anyways, but, she shouldn't have gone through this whole hoopla of saying, it's going to be Fanguy and Mike, it's going to be Fanguy and Mike, telling both Fanguy and Mike, and then changing her mind at the last minute. It's not cute.
Yeah. Days was a pretty prominent person in this whole episode, honestly, but at the beginning, too, because his main target's been Fanguy for a while now. He's afraid of Fanguy being on the jury. He's pushing for Fanguy. Mike is even thinking about cutting Fanguy if it comes down to Fanguy. And Alex, why is Fanguy such a big target for some at this point?
Because he self-actualized it, okay? Fanguy was playing too hard, too fast, and even though he ended up winning the Power of Veto, which is great for his game, I think that it ultimately made him a target because it showed that he was aligned with Mike. I think that it was just a self-actualizing prophecy. That's what I think. And as far as Mike wanting to cut Fanguy, I don't know. I had mixed feelings on that. What about you?
Yeah, I had mixed feelings as well. I think Mike was being a little... I mean, they're both kind of being that way, though. They're both thinking, we're tied together. It looks like we're tied together. But isn't that kind of what they wanted?
Yeah, I feel like they just kind of made the choice to lean into it. And, on one hand, I think that's why it's a really bad idea for Mike to cut Fanguy. But then on the other hand, I'm like, well, if he cuts him, then he won't be associated with him and he won't get, put up as a pawn for Monet's game, I suppose. So, I don't know.
I see in your notes, it's not in mine, but you have Nav recognizing the Mike backdoor.
Yeah, I thought that was very insightful of Nav. And so when it ended up being Fanguy and Alex, and Nav ended up... He always gets voted to play the vetoes, I feel like.
Yeah, well, lately.
Or selected to play the vetoes. It's very strange. I thought it was very insightful that Nav recognized that Mike could potentially be backdoored if either Fanguy or Alex are pulled down.
Yeah, and Mike was feeling kind of that way, too. He went to Nav to make sure that Nav wouldn't use the veto if he won. Mm-hmm. So Days, he's been doing this, first with Monet, now with Liana, because he knows they both have powers. He has this conversation with Liana. Do you think this went well? Do you think it built trust, or do you think it could have the opposite effect?
I think in this instance, it may have had the opposite effect, and I don't know if that's because Liana just responds in a very, sketchy way to people. When Days... to be fair, Days kind of posed the question strange. He's like, did you get a visit from Santa Claus? Yeah. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? But, because she didn't immediately pick up on that, I think that put Days on edge. But also, I think we might be seeing the beginnings of some paranoia in Days. Because he did not buy that Liana had a switch a vote.
True.
Which is funny because in my last podcast I said lie about your advantage, or don't reveal anything. Just say yes, I got an advantage, and kind of wait for him to ask more questions. And so it's funny that in a moment where Liana was actually being authentic and just telling Days the truth, yes, I got a switch vote, he's like, no, it can only be stealth or safety. She's a liar. So.
Which maybe he should think maybe that's what stealth meant, I guess. But I guess he wasn't thinking that far. Because that is what stealth meant.
Yeah. Did she say that it was a secret switch a vote?
That's a good question. I'd have to go back and watch.
I mean, maybe if she had put more of an emphasis on secret.
Maybe.
he wouldn't be as sketched out. But yeah, I think that in an instance where this should have built trust, I actually think that it just spawned some paranoia with Days. So.
Yeah, and Leanna and the entire matriarchy, per usual, having a jolly old time in this game together. This time, Leanna especially, confront Aspen about the vote in the Alex and Dot situation.
That's just me tired of Aspen's fucking lies. I'm tired of her. You know what's most insulting about Aspen's lies?
What?
Is that she's just bad at it. She's just
liar.
a bad liar. Like, if you're gonna try and be an Alex, be the Wonder Kid, at least tell good lies. Aspen's like, what? Huh? Who? Her Carrie K. Again, it's too much. She's just a really bad liar. And I really appreciate that Leanna ate that ass. And honestly, I felt like it was a pretty mild ass eating.
It was, because the whole group was together. It was more of a comedic type situation.
It was comedic, and like in that moment, it almost felt like an alliance confronting you and being like, "Hey, Aspen, we know you turned against." Yeah. Even though that alliance is fake, that's what it felt like. It felt like a sister circle where they're like, "Aspen, we know what you did." I wish it would have been a little bit more harsh. Lots of ass eating in this episode, which I appreciate.
Oh yeah, there's more?
Oh, Mike ate that ass. He ate Meg's ass. But we can get to that later.
Do you believe that Aspen's internet just miraculously went out?
I do, because her, like, the way that it started glitching and stuff, I feel like if she had just put her phone in airplane mode, it would have just dropped instantly and she would have froze. But she actually was, like, glitching in real time. So I don't think in that instance it was a Carrie K. But I also don't think the Big Brother gods were doing her the favors she seems to think. You
Why not?
Still look like a lying asshole.
She got out of the hot seat, though.
I don't think she did. I feel like the subtext of that was, Aspen, we know what you did. Mm-hmm. Don't let it happen again.
Yeah, that was definitely the subtext of that conversation.
And I think that Aspen knows that it was the subtext, because she pretty much knows that if she wants to maintain this alliance, she has to vote how they want.
True. But, other alliance members are now starting to have doubts. Meg is thinking if Fanguy's still up there. Mm-hmm. She's concerned. She goes to Aspen. They agree to vote Fanguy out, and then Aspen goes to Fanguy and says she's not going to.
Mm-hmm. Well, before we even get into that discussion, how random was it that Meg said Aspen was her number one? Where the fuck did that come from?
Meg's just adding to her final two alliances, I guess.
Anyways.
But also in that conversation, Dee Dee as well is not really liking to have to vote Fanguy out over Alex.
Yeah, I think that, unfortunately, the entire Matriarchy Alliance is beholden to Monet's stupid choice for nominations. And they all recognize that it was dumb. I think that even Monet, like, her rationale for who she nominated, it just wasn't there. Because Fanguy hadn't had conversations with you, that's why you're putting him up. I don't know, I think that it's just in no one's best interest to vote for the nominations prior to the veto challenge. The nominations that Monet had put up, so.
You kind of already mentioned it, but would you like to talk about Fanguy winning veto? I mean, the odds were starting to stack against him. He was the main target. He comes through in an old Atari game, but,
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, I find it so interesting that people were not expecting Fanguy to win, because I am personally of the opinion that you can't predict who's going to win any of these challenges. Like, truly, there is no such thing as a comp beast, which is why when they all, buckle under the threat of Mike potentially coming back from a battle back, it's like, we don't know that, because we don't know what these games are, and we don't know what people's strengths are. So I thought it was poor planning on Monet's part for her to just virtually not even consider what happens when Fanguy wins. And he did. And he won at a game that probably he was the only well-suited person to win, other than maybe Nav, which is who he tied with. So I just thought that hopefully people stop playing scared and stop trying to anticipate who is a comp beast, because you just can't tell with these games, you know?
They also, to your point though, both Matriarchy members who have won HOH now have done this, where they don't really ever consider a backup plan. Liana did this. I mean, you can say that was the backup plan. But also, like, Monet's doing this as well. They're not preparing enough for the veto. The veto is a very important key to this game.
Although, I'm actually surprised Monet did as well as she did in the
yeah, she did good.
The veto challenge, but not good enough to win and keep her nom, so.
Do you think Fanguy should have been as concerned about Mike's reaction to him winning veto?
I do find it interesting that of all the reactions that he chose to focus on, that's the one that he did. I don't think that it's concerning, and I don't think that Mike being upset is unreasonable, because it's like, listen, Mike was the original nominee to begin with, and he is the most, you know, if you're Monet, he is the most logical renom out there. So I don't think that Mike being upset was any reflection of their relationship, even though they're both considering cutting each other. I think that it's just logical. Mike's not going to get lucky twice. So.
Yeah. Do you think do you think they need each other in this game?
That they hate each other?
No, that they need each other.
Again, they're both really good shields for each other, and also they've made it clear that they are working with each other to some extent. So I don't know. It's like, I kind of like the chaotic energy of like, well, fuck it, let's just lean into this. But then leaning into it also hasn't gone well for them. I don't know. But I will say, I'm going to speak in retrospect and be totally unfair to the players. If I were playing the game, I don't think that it's actually a good enough argument to say, Mike, I'm going to put you up because I don't want you to take Fanguy down if you win the veto. Just fucking tell Mike, listen, I won't put you up as long as you promise not to take Fanguy down for the veto. Like, that's all you have to say. So I think that the fact that they're being persecuted for working together is unique to the stupid game that Monet's playing. How about that?
But do you also think that, like, maybe there are certain players in this game that are putting a crack in that alliance? Or do you think it's just because it's kind of the majority that seems to be going after that alliance? Because there is a crack between Fanguy and Mike, and you once said that was like one of the only real alliances.
I think that there's a crack in the Fanguy-Mike alliance because of what I just said, which is that Monet is out here like, you two are working together, so I gotta make sure you two won't save each other. Which is, just ask one of them, hey, this is my target. For your own sake, it would be wise of you to stay out of it and not put them up. So, I feel like if anybody else had been HOH this round and say Fanguy was their target, I don't know that they would put Mike up to ensure that Fanguy went home.
Liana says she would have. But.
Okay, well, Monet is really only acting on Liana's behalf anyways, which is why this HOH has been a hot mess, because I don't think she's actually had any real thought or consideration of her own in this HOH to begin with. So,
but a lot of players are seeing this as an opportunity to kind of push their own agendas here. We have Deleon wanting to put the target on Mike's back. He's the one that went to Monet to really drive home the fact that she's in trouble. I forget the word he used. Monet is, I don't remember. But he basically told Monet that everybody's kind of coming for her now because of the way her HOH is going.
Yeah, Deleon finally speaks up and somehow manages to do not so great of a job, in my opinion.
It's open season on Monet.
Open season, yeah, and somehow it's now going to be open season on Deleon. I think that Deleon has a close enough relationship with Monet, based purely off of their online isolation game, which they didn't. They weren't that close. They aren't that tight, and they weren't that tight in my season either. But I think that Monet and Deleon are close enough to where Deleon didn't have to like make this big public announcement of like, if you want Mike gone, I can make that happen. just be a little birdie in her ear. Now, girl, you know you done fucked up, right? You might as well put Mike up. Now, this assault on Mike is going to be attributed, I feel like, to Monet and Deleon. And I don't know. I just feel like, Deleon's finally playing, but he might have come in a little too hot, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, kind of what you and Patty have been wanting was for Deleon to get out here.
Get out here, but like, damn, be smart about it. Like, I would have been happy if he had just simply like been a friend to Monet or an ally or whatever strange relationship they have going on. Because I don't really feel like they're that close, and I don't feel like Monet trusts Deleon all that much. But I would have appreciated more if Deleon had just been like, girl, now you know you fucked up. Like, you have to put Mike up because that's best for your game. As opposed to him making it some public thing where it's like, Alex, I'm going to make sure Mike's up. And then, like, being spread around through all of the backdoor chats.
It might strengthen the potential Deleon and Alex duo, though.
That's true, but then make it a thing between, Deleon and Monet and then Deleon and Alex. He made his attack very public in the backyard chat. That's why I don't think it was...
But Deleon's never been one to care about that. He's always been pretty...
Okay, and when you've made an enemy of Mike, who wanted to work with you, your failures are your own.
Touche. Dee Dee's another one. She rats out Meg, especially, but also just Meg, Fanguy, and Deleon. 2 Dazed and Mike.
Yeah, Deleon. Dee Dee was running her mouth this episode, and in one vein, I was here for it. I was like, air these hoes out, Dee Dee. But the bad thing is that people are attaching the drama and the tea to names. And so I think Dee Dee's also... Even Meg said it. Meg was like, Dee Dee's been running her mouth a goddamn lot, and I'm about tired of it. So, I don't know. It's tough.
What do you mean by it's tough? Like,
I mean, I don't know a way to spread information in this game. Like, you gotta stand in your shit, right? And if you say something, you gotta be like, I said what I said. But also, when you're spreading that much information throughout the game, you don't want everything tied back to you, right? Because then people are gonna be like, you talk too fucking much.
Yeah.
And Dee Dee's also going around telling people about Aspen and Alex, like... It's just a lot. But I will say there are people playing far worse games than both Dee and Deleon that, it's putting them on people's radars, but it's not necessarily... They're not playing the worst games.
Yeah. So. I think it's just them. They've been kind of under the radar for 2.5 weeks now, so they're just kind of actually coming out now.
And, like, Dee's been under the radar, but I still think she's been playing a good game. Deleon's been under the radar... and hasn't been playing at all, and now he's on the radar and is playing aggressively.
Yeah. And I would say Daze is probably the one really keying in on Deleon being a driving force behind this.
Yeah. Which is smart on Daze's part, because I don't think it'll be long before Deleon makes the attack on him. So... you might as well. Dazed has been, ironically, playing a very Deleon-esque game of spreading names, spreading drama, and getting people's, tea out there. And so I think he's kind of kicked up the dust of Deleon and the gossip that he's been spreading. And I think that he gets to sit back and kind of watch the drama that follows. So...
yeah, he has been the Deleon, but more under the radar Deleon.
Yes, the game that I would have wanted from Deleon. I'm very happy with Daze's game, honestly, truly.
Now, Dee Dee's information, though, it gives Mike and Daze some ammunition because they have their little Daze and Busters alliance talk with Meg, and Mike does indeed catch Meg in a lie.
Very nice. I loved the ass eating in this episode. Call these hoes out. And this is something that I live by in my own life. Confront people. It doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be hostile. But be like, bitch, I'm on to you. I know what you said. And I don't appreciate it. And I think both Leanna and Mike did a very nice job of it. Leanna said, Aspen, we know what you did now. Tighten it up.
Yes.
Mike said, Meg, I know you out here trying to two-time me. Tighten it up. You either going to be with me or against me. And so I think that, honestly, what I think Mike did was he put the ball in Meg's court. Okay, enough, sir. Honestly, what I think Mike did was he put the ball in Meg's court. He was like, listen, we're either going to be all in on this alliance and you're going to work with me, or you're going to fucking vote me out. But enough of the lies. And Meg's reaction, this is how you know Meg was lying. Meg was like, well, Deleon was out here. He was the one that led the initiative in the first place. And I'm like, okay, Meg, so you were caught in a lie. That's what that was.
How do you think, or what do you think Mike and maybe even Dave should do with this information, though? Because, I mean, they do kind of need Meg's vote now.
With the information that Meg is a lying asshole?
Yeah. Because Mike is on the block.
It's hard to say. I want to say they have enough leverage to guilt trip Meg. Yeah, Meg's an emotional player. Like, I think she's not the most emotional player, but you can kind of pull at Meg's heartstrings enough. So I think that if Mike and Days really lean into the, I really thought that we had the Dazed and Busters alliance. Like, I was really all in, and Meg, I considered you to be my number one. I think they can maybe pull at her heartstrings and get her to vote with them out of guilt. But also, it's kind of a wild card. Meg's not stupid, and I think she recognizes that, getting rid of Mike right now wouldn't be the worst for her game.
What do you think is Dazed's rationale? Because he's been having this thing with Alex and Aspen, but now he sees Mike as the bigger target in front of him as like a meat shield. Do you agree with his assessment?
Honestly, I feel like Dazed is going to be fine either way. I think they both are going to keep getting put up on the block until both of them go home. So I think that either move is a safe move for him. What do you think?
I mean, do you think he should be just... Because he seems like he really wants to keep Mike in this game now. By the end of the episode.
I think, you know what? I guess if I had to pick a side, I think that going Mike would allow Days to remain a lot more covert for a lot longer. But I still do think that Alex is ahead of Dazed in terms of targets. Like, you don't keep evading these vote outs before you're finally just, like, unless you're me. You don't keep evading getting voted out before people are like, enough, we want you out. So I think Dazed will be fine either way. It's just a matter of which one will get him a little bit farther in the game.
Lastly in the episode, Fan Guy still trying to strengthen the whole personal bond thing with Meg and Aspen. That seems to be his go-to alliance. But I mean, I don't disagree with it at this point, because I don't really think Aspen would have voted out Fan Guy if Fan Guy was still on the block. And honestly, Meg probably by the end of it wouldn't have either, so like, he has the right read here, even though Fan Guy's struggling to make other connections in this game, though.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's really hard to say, because I truly don't know if Aspen and Meg wouldn't have voted Fan Guy. I couldn't tell you.
I mean, I honestly don't think Aspen would have. Aspen's been so messy this game. She would have went against the Alliance again.
But Aspen is also, like, oddly down for working with Alex, which I still don't get.
That's kind of true, too, I guess.
I agree that Fan Guy having Aspen and Meg are his best options, but those are not good options. So Fan Guy is going to be playing from the bottom a lot. He better keep winning. It's just what he has to do.
So isn't that like more reason to want to keep Mike then?
Fan Guy?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't know that it is beneficial to Mike or Fan Guy's game to get rid of each other. Like, it's just, and again, I don't know that them leaning into being allies is the worst. I just think that Monet and Leanna just happen to be of the opinion that Fanguy is bad and we gotta get Fanguy out, and if that means cutting Mike, then same. So I don't think that them leaning into their alliance is inherently bad. I think we just have players who for some reason have chosen to focus on that and fixate on it. I don't think if anyone else was playing that they would care.
Yeah. I guess it was just the luck of the draw here in the HOH.
Yeah. Also, Aspen, you know what is more, like, so infuriating about watching Aspen this season? Is that in addition to her dumb lies, her poor lying ability, it's her delusion. You can't tell Aspen she's not killing this game. She's like, bruh, nobody knows about us. And then, like, literally, next scene, Dee Dee's like, so I know for a fact that Aspen will take Alex down if she wins the power.
It's kind of just, though, Dee Dee's on that ass, though. Dee Dee's on Aspen's ass.
She is on Aspen's ass, and she's doing a good job of publicizing it to the point where it's just like, Aspen, people do know about you and Alex because you've played such a bad game. Such a bad game.
It's just been sloppy, really.
It's been very... It's lipstick smeared across the cheek. So sloppy.
I think she kind of recognizes those. There's been a few confessionals of her saying she's doing a lot and that she's, trying to balance it all. But,
girl, you're dropping the plates. The little spinning plates. Yeah. They've all fallen to the ground and are starting to crash. And then also, Alex saying to Deleon, like, oh my god, so should I just, not even try to win the veto? Like, sir, what?
Yeah, I was trying to find the rationale behind that, too. I guess he was thinking that Fanguy might be the big target for Monet and everybody. But...
Okay, but you still need to make sure your ass is off the block. That don't make no sense.
Yeah. All right, let's get to your ups and downs for the week. We shall begin with Dazed.
Dazed, I have going up. I will say the preview for the next episode makes me a little skeptical of that. I feel like Dazed might start leaning into that paranoia, but we'll see. But I do have Dazed going up this episode just because he is, like you said, he just cooks his dinner, eats his dinner, and minds his business. But is still planting some toxic seeds that I love to see.
What makes you think that he might start getting paranoid?
I think Dazed might make an assault on Deleon. And we saw the last time Dazed went after Deleon. And Dazed didn't win that fight. So, I do think Dazed is potentially going to start being more vocal, which might lead to his undoing. So, but for this week, I have him up.
Do you think the fact that he only has one more week with his power that might make him want to be vocal?
Ugh, no. Just play... but what's the point of trying to flush an idol for the sake of using it? If it expires and you can just be under the radar, that's fine too. You don't have to try and rush to play your power, That's
true.
And also, it would be really nice if he could stay under the radar and use the power on somebody else's behalf.
How about Nav?
Nav, I also have going up. I think that this is a good episode for Nav. I honestly couldn't name a single thing that he did. I don't even remember a single... The only thing I have, even that Nav was in, was just that he had the conversation with Mike where he was like, yeah, you could be potentially backdoored and that would suck for you. But Nav's in a good spot. Nobody's thinking about him.
That's true.
And you know what? Actually, a point that I wanted to bring up is that why was Nav not considered for a renom?
I mean, well, he had that.
Mike had one more trick up his sleeve. He could have really leaned in to throwing Nav under the bus. And he kind of planted those seeds initially when he threatened Monet the first time and was like, hey, I was the one that told, Nav and Alex were telling me to put you up as a renom. If my nominations were taken off the block, I would have leaned into that and I would have been like, you sitting here focusing on me, you need to be thinking about who's coming after your ass. Nav.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but, Nav was one of many people that had a nice little trustworthy talk with Monet.
Oh, please. And we'll never talk to her again. And I think another reason why it could have been nice on Mike's part to lean into the Nav thing is because he could have painted it as, hey, Nav or Alex, no matter which one you get out, you win. And also, the likelihood that they'll be coming after you is probably a lot slimmer than the likelihood of me coming after you if you vote me out. So,
not the worst idea. But like Mike said, DeLeon got to her first this time.
that is true.
How about Monet?
Monet I have going quite down.
Why is that? In the end, her original. Well,
no,
just kidding.
No, her original nominees were Fangai and Aspen. I don't think that this is a good round for Monet. I think that this is, whose original nominees we're seeing? Leanna's.
Yes.
This is what happens when you play the game for your allies. It's giving Dot.
Rough. How about Meg?
Meg, I have going down. Mike really tore into her. And it's not even so much that Mike tore into her. It's also that it was in front of Dazed. And so now that's going to plant some skepticism for Dazed. And Monet and Leanna and Dee Dee already feel a way about Meg. So, didn't Meg say in this episode that it's really hard to keep track of alliances?
Yeah, because she's been making a lot too.
Well, the good news, girl, is that she might be running out of them. I think that by the end of the next few episodes, she really will only have allies in Fangai and Aspen. And who wants Aspen as an ally?
We might as well touch upon Aspen next.
Down.
Fangai.
Fangai, I have going up. He won veto. If Fangai would just stop having this bottom bitch mentality. Like, Fangai just internalizes that he is the target, and I feel like it actualizes itself. Fangai, just fade into the background. I'm gonna need Fangai to just cool off. Just hush. Hush. Best case scenario, Fangai wins HOH. Although that would put him in a very offensive position again. But Fangai, I'm gonna need
not the worst thing though.
That's true. But I just need Fangai to just relax. Like, he's in a good spot. And I really don't think he's as much as a target as he constantly makes himself.
I don't know. It's kind of a double-edged sword though, because he is kind of a target for people because he wasn't Monet's target this week.
But Monet is so... I'm not going to call her dumb. Dumb! That she keeps fucking... Fangai just needs one good conversation with Monet. Drop a couple of do your little compliment sandwich. You're straight. That'll take care of Monet. Leanna's already kind of cleared the air with Fangai, so who's coming after him?
Yeah, that's true.
As long as he either ensures that he gets Mike out, or he doesn't vote Mike at all and says, hey, I voted Alex, and then, can solidify it that way, Fangai's in a good spot. And Dee Dee's not even going around saying his name.
True. He's really not in the worst spot. But his target has been going back and forth, I think. How about DeLeon?
DeLeon, I have going down for the simple fact that the one offensive move that he's made in the game, and it's already gotten around town, and people are pinning it on him, and not in a good way. Like, yes, you want to make moves to build your resume. And he even said, I love how I orchestrated this. You did orchestrate it. But where he went wrong is he was like, and no one even knows. Everyone knows because you made sure to announce it to every single person in the backyard chat. You share what you did once you're sitting in the final 2 or 3. Don't start announcing that shit now because all you're doing is making enemies.
How about Alex, one of the final noms this week?
Alex, it's hard to put people up when they're the nomination, so he's down. I don't know Alex's chances of surviving this round. And if he does, it will be close, and he still could be the next nom. So I feel like this is one of those things where you don't shake off being the nomination. They're going to keep nominating you until you get voted out. Or your HOH. So, Alex is down.
Mike, the other nominee.
I have Mike down this week for the same reason, which is that if you're the nominee, you're inherently not in a good position. Yeah, it's a tough spot for Mike.
Dee
Dee Dee I have going down for the same reason that I have DeLeon going down, which is that she's just being a little too vocal, and shit's starting to get traced back to her. She's running her mouth a little too much. And I do think Dee and DeLeon can get out of this. You've made your offensive moves. You've made your targets clear. So just fall back. Recede back into the background. I'm going to just need Fanguy, Dee, and DeLeon to just fall back for just an episode or so. Kind of, let the people like Aspen and Meg really dig the holes for themselves. And you'll be fine.
Lastly, Leanna.
And in stark contrast, I would say Leanna is up for the reasons that I just said, which is that Leanna made her moves, they were a choice, and now she's fallen back. She's still trying to play her game, advance her gameplay, but she's doing it in a much more subtle way, and she's not being vocal. And I think Leanna does have the benefit of having Monet, who just has this undying loyalty to Leanna and really just wants to advance Leanna's gameplay. So I think Leanna's also benefiting from the fact that Monet really wants to just work with her. But yeah, you make a couple moves and then you relax, you fall back.
Yeah, I also really like that when Leanna had the choice to not be HOH, she took it with the reasoning that she already got some blood on her hands. She wants to see what everybody else does. Now it turns out it's her number one Monet right now, and it's been a little messy, but still, it's good reasoning by Leanna.
Honestly, though, I think that the benefits of having Monet as an ally will be done after this HOH round. So if she loses Monet, good riddance.
All right. Well, that is all for tonight. The elimination will go down tomorrow night.